Hello, lovely. I know some of you are a bit curious to know my process for selling my houses. So let me talk you through a bit how it all came about and how it worked out in the end. Because lots of people have houses and then they wonder what to do with them. And also I think people were thinking, what on earth is she selling them? So, I was in the cabin before in the garden. And that was great. It was wonderful. I was in the cabin. The electrics were done the day before lockdown, and it worked perfectly for me because I was in the cabin in the garden. Paul was up here in the spare room because he was working from home at the time. Things have moved on. He's not working from home now. This is our box room. We live in a little tiny house. We have 2 bedrooms. This is the second bedroom. So if you like, this was spare then afterwards. And once I had done the soft furnishings in the houses, I knew I really ought to move into here because it was, different temperature. It could get damp in the winter and stuff like that. So I didn't want to start damaging anything in the house or, mildew, mold or anything like that happening. So anyway, I moved in here. Paul's moved out into the cabin when he does go out there with his computer and stuff like that. And it's actually a very small room. So I've also got all sorts of files here, household files, printer, keyboard, laundry basket lives in here. It is our spare room, dumping ground, where things live in a little tiny house. So when I moved everything in, I packed everything up and I was excited about moving. And it was a huge ordeal moving all of this stuff and all of my gubbins in here. And once I was in here, I felt a little bit hemmed in because it was like, I had 3 houses in here. It all felt a bit full. But also I've realised that I wasn't terribly excited about refurnishing them and putting everything back in. Not nearly as excited as I had been with the initial furnishing of Ashton Place and Bramble Cottage. So I just sort of sat with that for a while. And when something feels a bit off, I sort of just sit with it and think, so what's all that about? Why is something feeling a bit funky? And I know it will become clear. So I was thinking about that and it was like, okay, not excited. And then I thought, well, if I was to pop off tomorrow, what would happen to my houses? I don't have kids. For me, the pleasure is the doing. It is the making, it's the building, it's the creative process. It's not about acquisitions. It's not about, I don't have the grandest houses with reproduction furniture and, real genuine silver, whatever. In fact, the stuff that I had for my dolls' houses back in the 80s, you could say was much better quality because they were artisan made. It was before we had the bare wood furniture and the plastic alternatives and the printer things. So I either made them myself or I bought, I had some really beautiful real copper pans, real deal stuff. But over the intervening years, I sold them all and I moved around across the world and stuff like that. So things got sold. Fine. Anyway, this is where we are. This is how it is now. But anyway, I was thinking, so if I pop off, something's got to happen to my houses. Who's going to get them? Where they're going to go? Whatever. It just seemed like a big deal. And I thought, I'm not really attached to them now. I could sell them. As soon as I thought I could sell them, the energy around them felt very sort of light. It felt very sort of like liberating. And I thought, yeah, I could. So I moved lots of the contents into Maggie May's and then see what I was left with. And it's like, okay, well, that's very handy in furnishing Maggie May's. There's a few things that don't go in there because they're not right. Like I've got too many beds and different bits and pieces. But so there are a few things I can sell on Etsy. But it was like, okay. So that, handy way of furnishing Maggie May's. And I'm really, really excited about Maggie May's. It excites me in a way that the other two didn't excite me. I could see myself doing things with Maggie May's for years and years and years and years to come, because, I remember the 70s. The music of the 70s inspires me so much. I love it. And the music inspires me into doing things in Maggie May's. The other two houses, Bramble Cottage and Ashton Place, they were like sort of old, but I didn't have the same identity as who lives there the way I do in Maggie May's. And I've shared this in my video diary. So I didn't have the identity of who lived in them quite the same, which just felt a bit, not as exciting, not as thrilling, not as interesting, didn't capture me the same way. So where had I got to? So, so I thought, I could sell them. Emptied everything out. I had invested quite a lot in lighting in Ashton Place, so I knew I wanted to recoup the cost of the lighting. I wasn't going to start scraping things out, so the curtains were glued in, the floors were glued in, the wood floors that I'd made, the pictures that were stuck on the wall, I wasn't going to scrape those off because I didn't have any paint to make good, and I didn't want to ruin the walls, the wallpaper, all those things. And it's like, for me, it's like when you sell a house, you have to let go of it emotionally. And I've moved house lots and lots of times. You have to depersonalize it for the viewers to come around. They have to imagine themselves living there. They have to bring their vision to your property. And they may well want to redecorate or knock some walls down or change the garden, your beloved garden, whatever it is, or things about your home, your property that you have loved is just not their taste. You only have to watch Escape to the Country, and they say, but there are things that we'd want to do, and you can imagine the owner of the property watching that playback later on going, oh no, my beautiful house, they don't like my kitchen. No, it's not their taste. It's nothing personal. It's not their taste. That's not how they want to live in it. And I have to imagine with my dolls' houses, this is not what somebody would want. So I had to let it go to the universe. And I sold Ashton Place first. So I offered it up. And so I took everything out. And I thought, well, okay, let's put it on Facebook Marketplace, which is where I got the original flat pack townhouse from. So I covered the cost of the house that I had bought. I covered the cost of the electrics that I'd put in. And originally, a couple of people were inquiring and stuff like that. And you just think, come on, are you interested or not? And somebody popped up, very excited, and they said, would I take so much? And then next minute, they were back straight away saying, scrap that, because I've just realised it's all the electrics as well. I hadn't read the blurb. I'm very happy to pay your asking price, which immediately makes me think, maybe I should have asked more. But, it doesn't. I asked the price I was happy with. I was happy to see it fly off and live with somebody else. It was the releasing of it that I wanted more than what can I get for this? How much can I make out of this sale releasing? And I say there are some bits and pieces that I'm going to sell on Etsy. If I cover my costs on those, it's a bonus. But, I'm not in this about the money. To me, it's about the joy and the personal fulfillment that it brings me and sharing my journey and process along the way. So anyway, they were really excited about this as a townhouse. It was built and the electrics were done, so they didn't have to think about that. Now, what they do with that house is completely up to them. I gather they have a vision of what they want to do, which might be sort of Harry Potterish themed. it's completely up to them what they do. Interestingly, I had just made a little nameplate that I'd put on the railings at the front saying Ashton Place. And as soon as I had done it, I thought, no, that needs to come off. So I took it off again because it had already, if you like, moved away from my energy. And if you do any energy work, I've done a lot of energy stuff in the past, so it might sound a bit woo-woo to you, I'm sorry, but it's like it was already leaving home. It's like when you know your teenagers are ready to leave home, but they haven't actually fledged yet. You know, you've got to sometimes just give them a little push. You know, the bird's fledging at the moment. You know, mum and dad birdie will at some point be hanging on the branch and they're going, come on, come out. I'm not feeding you in the nest anymore. You've got to come out. It's time to move on. So anyway, she paid me what I was asking, collected it, tickety-boo. It's gone off to a new home. She will make of it whatever she wants to make with it. I cannot be attached to what happens and what she does with it. That is nothing to do with me. All I have to think of it is let it go and let it go with love, because I've enjoyed the process of making it immensely, and every step of the way along, you know, with the floors and assembling the whole kit together and everything like that. And then the same with Bramble Cottage. I then thought, right, okay, Bramble Cottage is off. So I took everything out of Bramble Cottage. And again, some of the things are not going to be going into Maggie May's, because it's like it's a smaller bed. So I've already got a bed in Maggie May's. So different bits and pieces I am selling on my Etsy store, Maggie May Miniatures. Do have a look if there's anything that piques your interest. So yeah, I put that on Facebook Marketplace. And again, you know, a few channelings here and there of people saying they're interested. And then somebody else said, yeah. And again, very good price. Dropped slightly from what I'd asked, but I expected I might do. Came and collected it. Brilliant. I know they were very, very happy with it. What they do with it, how they make it theirs, is completely up to them. And also, if either buyer chooses to sell them on at some point, that is completely up to them. That is nothing to do with me. That is not my worry. If they do it, okay, whatever. I don't care. They've already gone. They've fledged. They've grown up. I have enjoyed the making. I've enjoyed the process. I've enjoyed having them in my life immensely. They were both flat packs. Maggie May's came already assembled, but the other two were both flat packs, and I assembled them, made them, decorated them, everything. And it's just like, you know, you have to let go. I think the problem can be when somebody wants to sell it in its entirety with all the furniture and everything like that, because it's already done. And that might not be as appealing to most collectors. I think collectors would quite possibly want, oh, I'd like that coal scuttle. Oh, and I'd like that little thing, and I'd like that little thing. But I don't want the whole thing, because maybe they choose to do things differently. And just like on a housing estate, you can have 200 properties of the same spec, same floor plan, same layout, but they'll choose to decorate and furnish with their own personal taste and their own personal style. And that's what makes us different, isn't it? That's what makes us interesting. So if you are thinking about should you sell any of your properties, let them go. I go on the basis of, if it feels light, do it. If something goes, ooh, if it feels light, it's a yes. If it feels a bit heavy, it's either a no or not enough information. So when I wasn't refurnishing after Ashton Place and Bramble Cottage, after moving into this room, I was like, don't know. just sit with it. It was like, it wasn't exciting me. So thought of letting them go. Yes, that excited me. Yes, I've recouped the cost of my bare bones, if you like, outlay. I've enjoyed the process immensely in the decorating and the furnishing and everything like that. And then it's like, they're off. They're off, aren't they? You have to let them find their own adventure. And if they end up sitting in somebody else's old attic for 10, 20 years, that's nothing to do with me. They will do whatever. And when I do pop off, hopefully won't be for a long time yet, what happens to Maggie May's, I have no idea at all. Don't know if any nephews would be remotely interested in it. Don't know if a charity would be interested in auctioning it. I have no idea. I don't care, because I won't be here to worry about it. But I'm doing it for the sheer joy and the fun and the creativity and the personal expression in doing it. And that's why, for me, Maggie May's is like, yeah, because there is personal expression in Maggie's that there wasn't in the other two properties. So if you've looked at my A to Z's at all, I talk about this. I can't remember which video it's in. And it's like finding the identity of the occupants, putting your own unique take on it. Nobody wants us. That's unfair to say that, Sue. If you want the same as everybody else, then that's absolutely fine. I don't want the same as everybody else. And for anybody viewing the property, might find it a bit boring if it's the same as everybody else. I think the reason why people are enjoying following the journey with Maggie May's is a bit different. And a lot of people can relate to the 70s, and it's like, and they're wondering, what's she going to do next in there? My sister, there's a picture of my sister on the wall in Maggie's, in the shop, sitting on a mini in the 1970s, in her mini skirt, and she's like, what are you doing next in there? So, because it was so real to us, and it's like, yeah. I hope that helps. If you've got any questions, by all means, post them in the comments, because I'm sure there are things that I haven't mentioned that may come up as questions for you. By all means, put them in the comments. I'll answer them if I possibly can. But don't hang on to stuff just because you've got it. It weighs you down. Life is about living and getting on and doing it and having stuff because you've got stuff, whether or not it's in your wardrobe or your kitchen cupboards or your doll's houses. If it starts to feel a bit heavy, then maybe it's time to lighten the load and move it on. And if you're emotionally attached and you want to hang on to it, that's also equally fine. Do that. But it's like, why are you attached, I wonder? Nothing to do with me, none of my business, but it's like, it's just interesting, it's like my sister has still got some of the clothes that she wore in the 1970s in her attic because of the memories that they are attached to. That's up to her if she wants to do that. I was a little bit younger in the 70s and I couldn't get into any of those clothes now. But we both had blue satin hot pants that were made out of bridesmaid dresses that we wore for my eldest sister's wedding. So she looked the bee's knees in her hot pants, I have to say, because she had a better figure than me. I was a bit gangly then, but I did still have my blue satin hot pants. We made them at home because we were taught dressmaking from a very, very early age. So we were always making our own clothes. Anyway, I'm rambling now. Have a wonderful time with your houses. Enjoy every moment of pleasure that they bring you. If they're not bringing you pleasure, move them on. Okay, my lovely, I will talk to you soon. And please subscribe and hit the little bell to get notifications of when I share another video. And if there's anything that strikes you that you'd like to know about, talk to me about, put it in the comments and I'll do a video. Okay, my lovely, bye for now.